Hi, konnichiwa, minasan. Slash, ohayou gozaimasu. Slash, konbanwa. Genki desu ka? Osashiburi. Long time no see, you guys. Yeah, life got really busy. So didn't do much. I studied a little bit, just like playing Anki on my phone, like flashcards and stuff, learning vocabulary. I listened to like a couple podcast episodes, watched a few YouTube videos as I do, but like not enough to kind of put into a concise little recap episode. And also, just didn't have the time / energy to be perceived to do that. But now I'm here. We're back. Hello. Welcome back to week 8. Let's get into it. Okay, so another one of the Japanese with Masa Sensei podcast episodes was about counters, which in Japanese, like, I guess it's like kind of a annoying concept, but it's the same thing as like saying like one sheet of paper, one bottle of beer. You know, it's you use different words to describe different things. So that's basically what this is. But there is like a universal counter, which is tsu, which you can basically use for anything up until the 10th one. And then after that, you kind of need to learn the counter and then use the counter. So let's go down the line. So this is for something like, I don't know, for example, if you're ordering like 3 bottles of beer, the proper counter to use would be the long, thin object for a bottle, which is hong. So you would say biru. I know for one it's ippon. Bottles of beer. Japanese. Biru. Okay, so mitsu is the universal counter. Mitsuhon. Mugs of beer. Okay, I'm pretty sure there's a different counter for like draft versus a bottle. I don't fucking know. Okay, let's just, can I clip you guys? Like, this shirt is not really strong enough for, okay. Just gonna hold you. That's fine. Can I clip you onto something? Do you like the fucking weird ass TikTok thingy? You're on a ruler. 3 bottles of beer. What are we doing? Japanese to... No. English to Japanese. 3 bottles of beer. Biru 3本. I guess 3本? Is that what that means? The 3 is meant to be sang? That makes sense. So yeah, that's how you would use the counter. But with the universal one, you could say, I think like biru 3 kudasai, if you're ordering beer. Yeah. I have like a core memory of when I went to Japan. I think it was the first time I went to Japan being over the age of 20 so I could drink. We landed and we went to an izakaya because my mom wanted to go to an izakaya. And I remember her... Wait, maybe I wasn't old enough to drink yet because I remember her specifically ordering just 1 beer. But I remember her ordering and she was like, biru hitotsu. And then da-da-da-da-da. So, hitotsu is the number 1 universal counter. Hitotsu, futatsu is 2, mitsu, yotsu, itsutsu, tsu, 6, nanatsu, 7, yatsu, 8, kokonotsu is 9, and to is 10. I feel like this kind of correlates with the days of the month that we talked about a few videos ago. I don't know, because first day of the month is... Okay, that's different. First day of the month is tsuitachi, but then second day is 2日, 3日, 4日, 5日, 6日. So it kind of follows the same formula. 7日, 8日, so that's different. 9日 is the 9th day of the month, so it's like kokonotsu. And then 10日 is the 10th day. So it's kind of like a similar vibe there. So that's cool. That's like a, I don't know, related thing to help you remember maybe. But yeah, in terms of like the actual counters, I feel like it's probably one of those things that like you use them / you hear them in daily life, so you kind of know what sounds right and what doesn't. But general like categories or whatever, you would use ko for small objects like an apple. Let me see if I go 1 apple. Ringo, 1個. So counter is ko, and then you wouldn't say ichiko, you would say ikko. I think it's 1. Let me look at the podcast notes. It was like 1, 6, and 8, maybe. You don't say the full number when you say what it is, maybe. I was looking at this this article here, 90-day Japanese. So let's go up to ko. 1個, 2個, 3個, 4個, 5個, 6個. So that one again is shortened. So this is all normal. 1個 is shortened, 6個 is shortened, 7個, 8個, that's shortened. So instead of 8個, it's 8個, 9個, 10個. So yeah, 1, 6, and 8. And then flat / thin objects is mai. So that's like paper, stamps, plates, stuff like that. So my counter, this is different too. Ichimai. So you wouldn't say imai. I guess it's kind of like whatever sounds right? Because imai sounds weird. And yet, ichiko sounds, I guess, too much. Like ikko sounds better. I don't know how these rules work. But anyways, 1枚, 2枚, 3枚, 4枚, 5枚, 6枚. Okay, so I guess for mai, you don't shorten. 6枚, 7枚, 8枚. Yeah, 9枚, 10枚. And then hong is the beer bottle counter. That's for long and thin objects. So ippon, so it changes, I think. Yeah, 1, 6, and 8 is shortened, and you use p, and I guess 10 too. So there's lots of different rules for lots of different things. Again, I think it's like it's a vibe kind of thing, because you wouldn't say ihong, that's like ihong. That's weird. Ippon, nihon, sanbon. Sanbon. Suddenly there's a B in here for some reason. Jesus. Sanbon. Yongbon? Huh? What? Yongbon? That... Really? Like, I feel like that's hard to say. I guess you just gotta memorize it. I don't fucking know. 5本, 6本, 7本, 8本, 9本, 10本. So that's great. I mean, I feel like this stuff, at least from what I've picked up on listening to conversations and stuff, people just use this. Right? Like this is easy, the tsu system, as long as you're counting up to 10. Right? Just use tsu. That's easy. But yeah, anyways, more counters. We have dai, that's for large objects and like machines. In the podcast, they said like you can use this for like computers and stuff, as well as like cars. Soku for footwear, very specific. Hai for liquid in bowls and cups. Ning for people. However, I know that if you're saying that you're one person, you're by yourself, that's hitori. Hitori de. Like if you walk into a restaurant and they're like, "Nanmei sama desu ka?" Like how many people? And you just say hitori. Hitori desu. Hitori. Alone. Hitori de. That's alone. One person. Mei? The fuck? Okay, well, yeah, anyways. More to learn on that. I'm sure it's like very complex, but this specific article said that ning is for people. Let's try 4 people. Ri? I don't know. I don't fucking know. Google Translate could also be very wrong. Probably is. Hiki is for small to medium animals. To is for large animals. Wa is for birds. Kai is for floors of a building and also the number of times that you do something. So like mo ikkai, if you've heard that before, it's like one more time. Ikkai is one time and mo is like additionally. Mo ikkai. Seconds is byo. Minutes is fun. So again, I think this has some like weird rules. Maybe did we talk about this before? I have it written down. Yeah, some of the numbers turn into like p, so it becomes pun or bun. Oh, okay, here we go. Here's the people one. So nin counter. So one person is hitori, 2 people is futari, and then afterwards is nin. So hitori, futari, 3人, 4人, 5人, 6人. That makes sense. That's like in Naruto, the legendary 3人, right? And it keeps going. So that makes sense. Okay, I was a little bit confused, I guess, because of these first ones. Okay. Hiki to. Right, so this is for time. So yeah, we did talk about this because I have it written down on another page, but again, it has like the kind of weird changing of the fu into pu or bu. So 1分, 2分, 3分, 4分, 5分, 6分, 7分, 8分, 9分, and 10分. So yeah, and like if you're saying like 30 minutes, 30分, that's like a common thing that you hear sometimes. And then nichi is for days. So ichinichi and then fucking futsuka for some fucking reason. What the hell? Huh? So what? Nichi is only for the first one? Japanese counter for days is one of the most challenging because the kanji character for nichi is used, yes, but the pronunciation of the days is quite different. It starts off with ichinichi, which is 1 day. Sometimes tsuitachi, so that's the word for the first day of the month, when referring to the first day of the month, yes. but then you have 2日、3日、4日, and so on. So I guess like 1日 is one day, and then it just switches over to the fucking days of the like first, second, third days of the month system / tsu counter system. 2日、3日、4日、5日、6日、7日, and so on. And then kagetsu is for months. Very straightforward. 3ヶ月, 3 months. When referring to a specific month, however, you use gatsu. So, for example, January is ichigatsu. The word ichigatsu means January, the first month. And then nen is for years. Great. Simple. So simple. And then we know G is for time. Like, what time is it right now? Gogo 1時. How do you say minutes? How to tell time with hours and minutes in Japanese. I'm sure I've learned this with the minutes and everything, but I can't remember. Telling time. So, would you say like 1時 39 分? 9時24分. 10:24. Okay, that makes sense. So 9時 G is for the hours, and then you just say the minutes afterwards. 9時24分. Great. That makes sense. And then finally, there is bang for the like place that something is. So like, for example, ichiban means the number one thing. The thing is number one. Nibang is number two. I wonder if that works for like, I was thinking about this, and I was gonna ask my mom if like that bang counter works also for like if you're saying like take the second left, the number 2 left, like coming up, take the second left. Would that also be niban? How to use bang counter. La 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 la. 1番、2番、3番. Okay, thank you. How to say second left in Japanese? Would it be bang? Banme. Yeah, maybe. Second corner, okay. Can't read that.
2つ目の角を右に曲がってください。
What? Slow down. Slow down, slow down, slow down.
2つ目の角を
2つ目の角。2つ目2つ目の2つ目の I guess that's 角 something kanji ni kanji I need to learn how to read fucking kanji.
「右に曲がってください」
Okay. That's above my pay grade. So, not that, I guess. What is me counter, though? Because they said me. Me counter. Japanese. If that is a counter, ordinal numbers. Bamme. What is an ordinal number? Migi kara mitsume. Third toy from the right. Okay, this is what I'm asking. So I guess that's what that means. Is an ordinal number. Okay. Hitori ya. Mitsume. The third one. Counter me. Oh, what? Oh, so maybe me isn't a counter. You add it to the counter. So what did that example say? Migi kara, so from the right, mitsume, third, me. Mitsume. So you use the tsu counter, but then you add me to it to, I guess, say it's the third. Sansatsu. Suffix. To indicate order. You add me after a counter to indicate order. That makes sense. Okay. Good to know. I'm going to write that down. Because that, yeah. I was wondering about that. So, me. Add after. Indicate order. Wow. We're learning. We're actually learning. Okay, we'll call that good for counters. And then, I kept looking into the wa versus ga stuff. I watched a bunch of Kaname Naito videos. I talked about him before. His videos are great. He's really good at teaching. Funny, does like skits and stuff, talks kind of fast, but everything's on screen so you can like pause and stuff. So let's go over a few more things, a few more details about wa versus ga. So initially we looked at the Japanese, what is it, 80-20, that article last time, looking at wa versus ga, and that was a lot of good information. But there's more stuff that Kaname Naito talks about in his videos. So this is how he explains it. So ga is, you use it when you're stating what happened. So you're describing a phenomenon, a feeling, or event. You're just describing something that happened. Whereas wa is when you're speaking about a general concept or like focusing in on a topic or creating contrast. So ga could be like, if you're saying like, there's an apple on that table. When you say that, you're not talking about the apple, you're just describing what's in front of you. Whereas if you're responding to a question where it's like, where is the apple? Where did it go? Then you're like, oh, the apple is on the table. I don't know if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? It's the first thing when you're just describing what it is, you're not talking about the apple. You're talking about the scene, what you're seeing, the phenomenon, the event that you're witnessing, and you're describing it. So you use ga. Let's continue. It's very confusing. Even when I was listening to Kaname Naito describe it, so I feel like it'll be even more confusing me trying to describe it again, regurgitate it. But fuck it, we ball. Continue on. So some examples. So a ga sentence would be jishin, which is earthquake, ga okotta, which is it happened. So 地震が起こった, an earthquake happened. Versus if you use wa, 地震は起こった, you're talking about earthquakes in general. So you're saying that earthquakes in general happen rather than, either an earthquake is happening right now or happened in the past or, whatever. You're speaking generally about earthquakes. And then another one, 地震は, so this is the contrast example. 地震は、起きませんが、起きませんが、地震は起きませんが、台風はよく来ます。So, earthquakes, talking about earthquakes, they don't happen. Typhoons, talking about typhoons, they do happen. So it's creating contrast. Right? Right. Does that make sense? I feel like that's kind of like a general thing that I learned early on, that using wa sometimes can be a little bit hairy, because it's like, for example, if you say この服は似合うよ, which 似合う means like it looks good on you, it suits you, whatever. If you use wa there, then because of the contrast element, it's kind of implying that that, talking about that specific piece of clothing looks good on you, but being specific to that one, it's implying contrast. So it's like, that looks good on you, but nothing else does, kind of thing, Whereas if you say ga, you're describing the phenomenon of feeling like something looks good on somebody. Then using ga, you would say この服が似合うよ. And then you're just describing that it looks good. There's no, contrast or context or whatever. That's how I understand it, at least. So, yeah. Wa for contrast, sometimes, I guess. So, wa marks the topic. So if we're talking about jishin, if we're talking about earthquakes, we would use wa. Ga marks the subject of what happens, slash the phenomenon. So I guess when you use ga, the thing before ga is the subject of the phenomenon. It's not the topic of the sentence. The topic of the sentence is the phenomenon. It's just describing the event or the thing, right? Okay, so, and then he goes on to use a couple more examples, using ga versus o. So a ga example is ビールが飲みたい, which ビール is beer, 飲みたい is want to drink. So ビールが飲みたい is describing the phenomenon that is occurring within you of you wanting beer. So you're just describing this thing that you're feeling. You're not talking about the beer or whatever. You're describing what's happening inside of you, this feeling of wanting beer. But if you use を, ビールを飲みたい, then your will and your plan and your determination is embedded into the sentence. So it's like ビールを飲みたい is more like I want to drink beer, but it's more like I'm gonna drink beer kind of thing. Versus ビールが飲みたい is like there's this feeling inside me, oh, I want to drink beer. Another example that he used of this is like 日本語を勉強したい. So 日本語を勉強したい is I want to study Japanese. So 勉強したい nomitai, it's a want, so it's a verb of like wanting to do something. But the particle o makes it so that you're saying that like you plan to do something. So 日本語を勉強したい is like I want to study Japanese in school, or, you know, it's my plan to study Japanese. So you're not describing an urge or a phenomenon happening inside of you, but you're describing what your plans are and what you will or what you wish to willfully do, if that makes sense. So you could also say like 日本語が勉強したい, but that's more like I have this like phenomenon, this feeling happening inside of me of wanting to learn Japanese, right? It's like a craving. He uses the word craving a lot to describe the use of ga. It's what you crave to do. Okay, more. So ga. Another ga example. Tanaka ga いなくなった。いなくなった。So, Tanaka ga いなくなった. He disappeared. He's not here anymore. Versus wa, another sentence. Tanaka wa どこにいるんだろう? These are all words I'm pulling from his examples that like I recognize and I can tell what it means, but I just haven't really learned it yet. So reading it is hard. I can't read. So in the first sentence, you're stating what happened. So Tanaka ga inakunatta. Tanaka disappeared. And then you say, Tanaka wa doko ni iruんだろう? Doko ni iruんだろう? Where did Tanaka go? So the first sentence is like stating, or like describing what happened. What happened, the phenomenon that happened, is Tanaka disappeared. It's not really about Tanaka, we're just saying, oh, Tanaka disappeared. Focusing on Tanaka, we then switch to using wa. So then we say, Tanaka wa doko ni iruんだろう? いるんだろう? Still getting used to that word. Where did Tanaka go? So now focusing on Tanaka, changing the topic from the phenomenon to Tanaka, where did he go? So we're focusing on him, we're asking about him in the second one using wa. Okay? So ga can also, moving on, ga can also emphasize a person. Emphasize a person. So like the same effect of like Megan the Stallion. It's like using the word the. It's like the Tanaka, you know? So an example of that is あの人が Tanaka-san. So instead of saying あの人は Tanaka-san, that's just saying like, oh, this person is Tanaka. Using ga emphasizes that this person is the Tanaka. Like, you know, the notorious Tanaka-san, you know? So that's another way that you can use ga. So ga also can emphasize who did something or who will do something. So for example, Chihiro ga tabeta. So Chihiro ga tabeta. We're saying it was Chihiro who ate it. And another example, 私がやります. So やります is, I think, a polite way to say doing something. You'll do something, yeah. 私がやります. So saying that is like responding to a question of like, oh, who's gonna do this or whatever. Then you can, to emphasize that I'm the one who's gonna do it, then you'll say 私がやります. Use ga. Cool? Makes sense? It's it's a lot of different things, but I feel like all of this stuff probably comes up in conversation a lot, and you just kind of understand based on context, but it's interesting to learn the rules around it. And it seems like there's a lot, but yeah, it's a nuance. Okay, and then lastly, I watched another video by Kanamai Naito talking about first person pronouns. Very fun. A lot of the stuff I didn't know. I know the first person pronouns just because like I've heard them before. But yeah, so like the standard one is watashi. He said that watashi is like, you know, kind of boring. It's like, it doesn't say anything about you. It just is like polite and basic and whatever, you know? It's just watashi, you know? It's just doesn't do anything there. And it's like feminine as well, I guess. I guess like more polite is like feminine. Dunno. And then there's also atashi, which I've heard before. I've only ever heard women say it. It's like a feminine one as well. So atashi is like watashi. Not really, I guess. So atashi is more casual. And by dropping the wa, he explained that you're breaking female social norms and stuff. So you come across as like slightly rebellious by referring to yourself as atashi. But it's female, mostly. And then there's boku. So I've heard this before. It's mostly masculine when men refer to themselves as boku, but it's kind of like polite, humble, but like a masculine way of that. But then he noted as well, women can use boku as well, and it gives like a kind of boyish, gender neutral vibe. He said like, I don't know, if you're like a girl who grew up in like a small town and you like acted like a boy and there were no like, you know, gender norms or whatever, then you might use boku as well. And then there's also ore, which is a masculine one as well that I've heard a lot. You hear it a lot in like anime, I think, as well, which is masculine, arrogant, casual, and strong. So it like, if you use ore, then you're saying like, I'm a dude, you know, like ore, like that. But yeah, he did say like it's not, all of these like stereotypes or whatever aren't really set. Like he himself will use boku in formal, more formal, polite circumstances, but he'll use ore when he's talking to his friends, kind of thing. So, yeah, it all depends. And like looking at this, I would probably use like atashi. I feel like that's, you know, it's not as boring as watashi. I feel like people don't actually use watashi because it's kind of like, it's like textbook, right? But I feel like atashi is chill, normal, safe, right? Yeah. So I feel like there were more in the video, but they're less common. So yeah, there you go. There are the first person pronouns. And that's all. That's all I have to share for today. Yeah, I've been, so I have a trip to Japan coming up in the fall. And when a Japan trip is coming up, I really start to, you know, feel like, okay, gotta learn Japanese, gotta fucking do this thing. So yeah, I will keep studying as much as I can just on my own. But I've also been looking into italki, which is like a online tutoring / online language learning thing where you like take lessons from teachers and tutors and stuff one-on-one. Yeah, it's basically like an online tutoring platform. And I feel like that would be helpful. Obviously, you have to pay for it. You have to pay for their time or whatever. But I think, you know, having those like structured lessons would be really good for me and really helpful in terms of like actually learning and like speaking and like thinking of what to say and then having somebody like correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, I'm thinking about that. I'll probably start those lessons hopefully sooner rather than later, as soon as I feel like I have the time. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say for this one. And hope you guys are having a nice start to your week. And have a good rest of your week. And I'll talk to you all later. Bye.